The motivation behind the Flippin' the Script conference actually came from youth in the community. There's children out there who've never been on a college campus before, who may not have family members who are in college. Some family members may not even be finishing high school. And so they may not know that college is for them. And I have noticed that some of the challenges just continue and continue and continue. School might be teaching them, core concepts like math and things like that, but it may not be teaching them how do you avoid the preschool to prison pipeline? How do you avoid financial exploitation? How do you avoid being a renter all of your life and never owning anything? How do you do that? So basically, we had 19 community members came to the college with the help of the Margaret Sheridan Hollering Grant. They carpooled, and I had my car full, and several other people had their cars full, and we got 19 community members here, mostly teenagers, but some adults. And they sat in on my Human Development 321 class with us asking the question, if you were to have a whole day here at the college, what would you want? And they told us. And they said they wanted things like how to do better in school, how to get a job, how to keep a job, how to budget better, how to do better with their money, how to make ends meet, how to deal with grief and anger and loss and difficult emotions like that. I found it extremely inspiring to hear the things that these young people and some of their parents and caregivers were interested in hearing about. And we got busy trying to make their vision come true. And so the goal of the conference was to bring together community youth and their families. We were aiming for about 60 or so people, and bring together our campus community as well, maybe about 30. Okay, so we were hoping for about 90 to 100 people to bring together, like I said, the community with Connecticut College students, with faculty, with alums, people who've graduated in the past, staff members, people from all different realms of the college, along with these wonderful, wonderful people from a community that has experienced its own set of very severe challenges, and I've mentioned some of it is unemployment, being underserved, just dealing with feeling a bit disconnected from their educations, the typical kinds of challenges that we can expect from under-resourced communities. So the goal was to bring everybody together so that we could all learn from one another, so that the community could learn from the students and the faculty, and the faculty and the students and the staff could learn from the community, and everybody could have a day where everyone could give something to one another in terms of learning from one another. Expect you to do, like, we do have this preschool to prison pipeline that I do not like, and every time somebody jumps out of that pipeline and says I'm not in it, somehow I'm resisting it, I'm surviving it, I'm advocating against it, I'm legislating against it, I'm doing whatever I can at whatever level of society that I can, from grassroots on up to the President of the United States. Every time somebody makes that jump, against the preschool to prison pipeline, or against health disparities, or against these other kind of issues that the, financial exploitation, the kind of things that the community is up against, then that's one less person that is a statistic. And so flipping the script to me means jumping out of the statistics, not being a statistic anymore. Taking what was meant to work against you and somehow flipping the script and saying, oh no, not me. I'm going to do whatever I can. This isn't all in my control. It's not all in my power, but I'm going to do what I can to change this, if there's anything that I can change. Again, so much of it is out of our control, but we can hit it at whatever angle we can. And that's where, students come in, colleagues come in, legislators come in, leaders, community leaders come in. We have to hit this, like I said, from ground roots all the way up to the highest, governmental levels. We have to make change, change all the way around, so that our schools can be better, so that our young people relate better to school, so that our young people want more and want to demand more, so that we live healthier, we live longer, we live healthier lives. We're not struggling so much. We're not dying at a rate that's so much higher than other socioeconomic groups or other races and cultures and so forth. So we have to turn this thing around at whatever level we can. That's flipping the script.
Oh, yes, I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
I would participate in the conference because I feel like it'll get me ahead. You can come from the smallest town, but have the large. You can become something big. So I thought that was important. But I noticed at the conference going on, people were being excited, happy, sticker-eating things. It was so fun, coming together and having fun, learning and having fun at the same time.
We had an opening session. We had a young person open up with a song. We had a keynote speaker who came all the way from New Jersey. Then everyone went off into their workshops. I had to chase some of the adults away from the selfie stations so that they could get to their workshops. They were running late for their workshops because they stopped to do the selfies. And I was like, you're supposed to be in your workshops. And I chased them on to class. It was so funny. So, people went to classes. They had their notebooks. They were inspired. The class that had the most attendance, the highest attendance, was the class on grief, loss, anger, and trauma. That class on those emotions, which kind of surprised us. We weren't expecting that to be the class it was full of adults and children.
My involvement in the conference was basically to hold a workshop on sanitation. So I had made a documentary last year called Safeguarding Dignity, and it was basically the documentary showed what lack of sanitation does to urban families and children that live in slums in India, and how these women are mobilizing themselves collectively to demand better sanitation facilities from the government. And so it was a 10-minute documentary on the effects of lack of sanitation on physical health, psychological well-being, and the dignity issues involved in it. So I had 8 to 10 youth from the community that Professor Dunlap's class had organized this conference. So they were these youth that she had come from Norwich, were part of the workshop. So this workshop had mostly young children, adolescent children, some adolescent youth, and some children who were for the first time getting exposed to this workshop. So it was really profound for them, for them to know that this global issue that exists out there.
Well, one of the groups, they had a video on India, and there was this guy that was from India, and he had a video on his hometown and how they were like poor and didn't have a lot of things. So he had like told us that no matter how much things you don't have, you can still find a way.
Like when they went to India, and like they talked about like the people that was like suffering and like they didn't have a toilet or like didn't have stuff there, but like they had to all take it in the morning because like the water went out on them when they were taking a shower during the noon.
Dr. Jamal Matthews from Montclair State University. He here he has his PhD. He's very accomplished. He's very community engaged. He's doing such great things. But he talked about something that he uses to keep himself encouraged, and it's called a victory jar. And it's where when he accomplishes something, he writes it down on a paper, something that he's grateful for, he puts it in a jar. And then when he has difficult days, he'll pull some things out of the jar and read them, and they will help him to stay encouraged. He talked about faith. He talked about working hard in school. He talked about the peer group. He talked about following your own way. He talked about things that can hinder the community. He talked about ways to overcome some of those hindrances if we possibly can, ways to maybe change our thinking. There were so many things that he talked about. The whole audience was just completely overwhelmed. Everybody loved him, and he talked about his own life and how he flipped the script and how his humble beginnings and things that his family went through that you would never expect that a family would go through.
Speaker, but I would say probably after his talk, it moved so many people. That was really, I guess, my favorite moment, because there were people, I was in the front, so I kind of looked around, and there were all kinds of people coming from, you know, like different diversity in terms of age, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and all kinds of different types of people. But they all came together and seemed to just be moved by the message that the keynote speaker gave. And